I was at summer camp. This must have been 96. And from the other room, I heard some kids listening to something in the cabin. And it was that piccolo snare, that now iconic intro of Here in Your Bedroom, and, for whatever reason, the tone of that snare just drew me in. What the hell is that? And that bass line and his vocal and the melody. And I just hadn't heard anything like that. I had been familiar with punk music, but I hadn't heard that kind of twist on it, that kind of ska influenced, almost reggae twist on this very sort of raw sounding punk sound. And I fell in love from there, and got all the albums that I could get my hands on. And then a few years later, I was fortunate enough to see Goldfinger live. It was the first time I'd ever seen Goldfinger. It was the first time I'd ever been to the Worcester, Massachusetts Palladium, which would then become sort of a historical landmark for Ice Nine Kills. It's where, a year after that show with Goldfinger, we played our first show. It's where we sold out our biggest headlining show to date a couple years back on our headliner. It was a really amazing time. Yeah, I was already a big music fan. I'd already been in bands where we were just cover bands, and we would cover Blink and Goldfinger and Real Big Fish and Less Than Jake and all these other bands from that era. But for whatever reason, that show in 2000, September 2000, for which I have the date tattooed behind my ear. I don't know if you can see it, but seeing them live and seeing the energy on stage, and John jumping into the crowd and singing with the mic. And at some point during the song Mabel, the band's fans get on stage. So me and my friends that were there, we got on stage, and John gave me the mic, and I got to sing a part of Mabel. And for whatever reason, man, that show, I was convinced that this is what I got to do for a living after that show. And the next day I started writing my own music. So it was definitely a big moment for me, and a sort of a turning point. And I still have the hat that I got at that show that Goldfinger had signed. So pretty crazy 20 years later. Absolutely. I mean, starting from the beginning, when I was 15 or so, and we started the band in 2000 after that show, we were a punk ska band, very much in the vein of Goldfinger and Real Big Fish and Less Than Jake and Catch 22. So on that early material, which I think you can still find on YouTube, before we were Ice Nine Kills, we were just Ice Nine, and it's very clear that we were a Goldfinger ska punk influenced band. And as our styles and influence sort of expanded over the years, and we became a heavier band and started to incorporate all this other kind of stuff, metal and metalcore and even theater like Les Mis, we still held on to the spirit and the energy of Goldfinger and that kind of genre. And I think that still to this day, you can hear it influencing my melodies. And what's so crazy about this song that we are dropping tomorrow, Funeral Derangements, it was co-written by John Feldmann, and he helped to write the chorus melody. So it's just like one of those full circle things where the guy that influenced our band's sound is now working with our band on our sound. So you definitely can hear it in that song because he helped write it. That was awesome, man. For years when we were starting the band, Feldmann was rising through the ranks as a great producer, and did the Used and Story of the Year and all these bands that we were really loving. And his production style was something that we aspired to have. Like there's something about that sound on an album like Page Avenue that was just so crisp, and it was compressed in such a cool way, and it embodied everything that we wanted our records to sound like, sonically. So it was always sort of a race or a hunt to get him to produce the stuff. And for whatever reason, it just never really worked out back in the day. He was doing a million different bands, but to get to a point where he wanted to work with us on this last album, and we got to write a few songs with him, was awesome. And he's such a nice guy, and his family was so nice to us, and had a lot of fun working with him, and also playing ping pong, which I usually won. John, if you're watching that, I won. Yeah, I mean that's a hard one. I love all the Goldfinger records, and the new one they put out was really cool too. And I felt like it was sort of a return to the older style that I fell in love with. But I think if I had to pick my favorite albums, it'd have to be Self-Titled, Hang Ups, and Stomping Ground, in no particular order. With Open Your Eyes, if you could fit in a fourth, those are my favorite albums.